Tonight on Y News, Manila Police District Chief Vicente Danao Jr. warns to kill the alleged drug queen who is an incumbent barangay official in Manila City. NCRPO Chief Eleazar challenged the alleged drug queen Gia Gomez Castro to return to the country and face allegations against her. Senate to provide President Rodrigo Duterte the list of cops allegedly involved in illegal drug recycling. And the AFP reveals that another cadet from the PMA was allegedly maltreated and has been hospitalized in Quezon City. Good evening. The Manila Police District Chief warns he will kill the alleged drug queen of Manila, who is an incumbent barangay official in Manila City. Meanwhile, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is open to study the possible examination of the so-called drug queen. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
Seryoso ako.
Yes.
Papatayin kita pag nakita kita.
This is the warning of Manila Police District Chief Police Brigadier General Vicente Danao Jr. to the alleged drug queen in Manila. Danao disclosed that she is Gia Gomez Castro, an incumbent barangay chairwoman of Barangay 484 Zone 48 District 4, Sampaloc, Manila.
Since day one na na-assign ako rito, isa na yan sa target personality na hinahanap ko sa Manila Police District. Gia Gomez. May araw katanda mo yan.
According to Danao, there was a letter from Castro addressed to former Mayor Joseph Estrada stating her indefinite leave of absence. The MPD chief further clarifies he has no connection with Castro and has never met her personally. Danao adds investigation on the so-called ninja cops connected with the drug queen is underway. Meanwhile, a barangay Kagawad says they have not seen Castro since April, but they are still in contact with her through video call, where she relays her orders for the barangay.
Paputol-putol yung leave. Nagsimula siyang mag-leave last year. Official yung video call namin, dito siya tumatawag. Hindi siya sa personal na gamit ng cellphone, hindi.
A relative of Castro became emotional as he maintains the innocence of his niece.
Siyempre, masakit po sa akin yun kasi kalagayan po ng pamangkin ko yun. Nasa peligro po yung buhay niya. Uso ko ngayon pagkano na din ang laban.
He also denies his niece is coddling ninja cops.
Karoon ng pulis na pumupunta rito, yung tinatawagan namin para kunin o sunduin yung mga nahuhuli.
Meanwhile, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is open to study the possible extradition of the alleged drug queen.
Kung meron siyang warrant, pwede natin sigurong i-coordinate yung extradition niya.
Arlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar challenged the alleged drug queen Gia Gomez Castro to return to the Philippines and face the allegations against her. Lea Ilagan explains why.
National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO Chief Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar confirms that the so-called drug queen in Manila is no other than Gia Gomez Castro. Castro ran for councilor in the 2016 polls but did not win. After that, she ran for barangay chairwoman in the last barangay and SK elections and won. Eleazar says Castro plays the role of a distributor of illegal drugs that came from the ninja cops.
But in the case of the drug queen, who is an open secret, halos siya, when we arrested her first cousin, itong si Permentera, that was around April of this year, pati na rin yung asawa nitong kanyang first cousin, si Ivy, whom we arrested last year, nara-convict na, talaga naman siya tinuturo. Kaya sa ngayon, banggitin natin siya. Gia Gomez Castro.
Castro did not take an oath as barangay chairwoman because she went out of the country amid the government's war on drugs.
Dahil nga sa mainit na siya since 2016 at nabasa rin yung pangalan niya, umalis siya at ng ibang bansa.
She came back from the Philippines from Vancouver, Canada last September 18. But 3 days later, on September 21st, she flew to Bangkok, Thailand. Eleazar challenges Castro to return to the country and face allegations of her involvement in illegal drugs.
Mas maganda na harapin niya yung kaso, pati na rin yung kanyang asawa at itong angka na to.
Eleazar adds the first barangay councilor of Barangay 484 sits as the chairwoman in the said barangay. Eleazar says her husband Dennis, a former barangay chairman, is also involved in illegal drugs recycling.
Ang balita natin doon sa husband niya, pumunta rin ng abroad, pero recently nandito rin, pabalik-balik doon.
Gia Gomez Castro's brother, Bumbu Gomez, has gone AWOL from police service. Based on the NCRPO's link diagram, 16 ninja cops are connected with the drug queen but are no longer in police service. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Senate is willing to provide President Rodrigo Duterte the list of police personnel allegedly involved in drug recycling. According to Senator Bongo, the president wants these people to be penalized. Grace Casin tells us why.
According to senators, it is the president himself who wants to see the list of cops supposedly involved in recycling of illegal drugs. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon said they will let the president publicize the list.
I think I have it on good authority that he will reveal it. If not tonight, tomorrow.
According to Senator Bongo, once the list is verified, the president wants the cops involved to be penalized. If they resist, the president will give a reward money for their capture, he added.
1 million pag dead, 500 lang pag alive.
Senate President Vicente Soto III was alarmed after knowing the drug lords in the New Bilibid prison have a hand in the Agaw Bato incident that happened in 2014 in Pampanga.
May malaking bulto noong na-recycle na mga nahuli. Ang mga drug lord sa National Bilibid Prison ang nagtransact.
Meanwhile, the senators reacted on the recent statement made by the Philippine National Police that the Senate should be careful in releasing the names of so-called ninja cops because it was a big impact on the institution of the PNP.
Tatanggap lang kami ng impormasyon. Ayaw nila yung impormasyon na tanggap namin. Ba't kami sisisihin nila?
The Senate is a very civilized body. Unless they try to be evasive, we will assert our authority.
According to Senator Go, the president is still confident in PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde. This although Albayalde's name is being dragged in the drug recycling issue. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, meanwhile, said General Albayalde is feeling good now that the list will soon to be publicized.
Gusto niya dahil hindi niya alam how to defend himself kung puro speculation lang ang nakakarating sa inyo. Hindi talaga klaro kung what specific allegations are being made against him.
Meanwhile, Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong, the source of the list, confirms he has been receiving death threats.
Kod mo lang, inaayos ko lang mabuti ang aking security. At ganun din yung sa aking pamilya.
Well, nag-iingat tayo lahat. Pati yung mga staff ko, pinag-iingat ko.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte has signed into law Republic Act number 11458. This amends the SOTO law, expanding the coverage of exemptions from revealing the source of published news or information obtained in confidence. The law now includes broadcast journalists and online news agencies. The remains of Philippine Military Academy 4th Class Cadet Darwin Dormitorio was buried today in Cagayan de Oro City. He was given full military honors by the Philippine Army as a final tribute. Nina Armilio has the details.
We will proceed to the dedication of Darwin's grave.
Attendees during the burial of the remains of PMA 4th Class Cadet Darwin Dormitorio today were emotional as they gathered in Cagayan de Oro Gardens in Barangay Lumbia, Cagayan de Oro City. They were Darwin's families, friends, and relatives. Darwin's parents and siblings thanked the Armed Forces of the Philippines for shouldering the expenses on the PMA cadet's wake and interment. Dexter Dormitorio, Darwin's older brother, said their family welcomed the recent shakeup in the academy as a result of the incident.
Pakiusap ng tatay ko sa PMA mismo na walang whitewash as a sign of respect na rin. Being an alumnus of the academy, sana wala.
Dormitorio family has asked the PMA administration to let Darwin be the last victim of hazing in the country's premier military school.
Nangyari, namatay na si Darwin eh. So, dapat yung hazing, anti-hazing law will be fully implemented. And we believe that it is only the President who can enforce this in the full force of the law.
His casket was lowered to the ground. Soldiers from the Army's 4th Infantry Division gave Dormitorio a 21-gun salute as a final tribute. Meanwhile, Department of the Interior and Local Government Secretary Eduardo Año assures there will be no whitewashing in the tragic death of Darwin Dormitorio. Secretary Año says the PMA should implement a new system to stop the recurring tragedies in the institution. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines confirms another cadet from the Philippine Military Academy has been rushed to a hospital after suffering from maltreatment. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana deems the resignation of 2 PMA officials following the death of PMA Cadet 4th Class Darwin Dormitorio is simply out of delicadeza. April Senadoza details why.
Another cadet from the Philippine Military Academy has been rushed to Viluna Hospital in Quezon City. AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Edgar Arevalo has said the cadet showed signs of maltreatment, though he is ambulant. According to Arevalo, the hospitalized cadet suffered from stomach pain, the same experience the first 2 PMA cadets had last September 17 and 21. Arevalo has refused to identify the 3rd cadet. The AFP official has also confirmed the first 2 cadets who were hospitalized are in stable condition. Amid the controversial death of PMA Cadet 4th Class Darwin Dormitorio, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana deemed the resignation of Lieutenant General Ronnie Evangelista as PMA Superintendent and Brigadier General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro as Commandant of Cadets as out of delicadeza. In a text message, Secretary Lorenzana says the 2 did good things for the organization. He says the resignation is in accordance with the principle of command responsibility. That's why he salutes them for their professionalism. April Senadoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
An expert believes that the move to stop hazing activities in the Philippines is impossible for now. This despite stiffer penalties implemented under the amended anti-hazing law. Mel Maribuhok reports why.
Only 1 conviction of hazing has been recorded in the country since the enactment of Republic Act No. 8049 or the Anti-Hazing Law in 1995. This is in the case of Marlon Villanueva, a neophyte of the Alpha Phi Beta fraternity in University of the Philippines, Los Baños, who died in 2006 during initiation rites. In 2015, the Supreme Court affirmed the conviction of the 2 persons responsible for Villanueva's death. They were penalized with reclusion perpetua or imprisonment of up to 40 years. On the other hand, the first recorded death caused by hazing in the country is in 1954. UP student Gonzalo Albert of Upsilon Sigma Phi. It was followed by a series of recorded hazing cases. Most of them are students of known universities in the country like UP, Ateneo de Manila University, San Sebastian College, and some universities in the Visayas and Mindanao. In 2017, the case of Horacio Castillo III of the Aegis Juris Fraternity in the University of Santo Tomas emerged. Castillo's death prompted a stiffer anti-hazing law. Under Republic Act No. 11053 or the Anti-Hazing Act of 2018, those who planned and participated in hazing, if resulted in the death or rape, may face reclusion perpetua and fine of 3 million pesos. Yet again, more amendments to the current law are being proposed after the death of PMA Cadet Darwin Dormitorio, allegedly caused by hazing. Some personalities even want hazing to be included on the list of heinous crimes. But according to Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, this is not necessary as hazing under the strengthened law is already deemed heinous crime given the highest penalty imposed under the said law. Despite this, according to sociologist and UP Professor Jimwell Naval, it is hard for now to stop hazing amid stiffer penalties under the amended law.
Ibig sabihin, hindi mo yan masusugpo, no? Unless tanggalin mo or baguhin mo yung institusyon. Kung sa fraternity yan, i-ban mo yung fraternity. No, kasi gagawin at gagawin pa rin ito. No, kasi ito ay parang batayan ng pagiging sikat, batayan ng pagiging matatag, batayan ng pagiging pangunahin, powerful na institusyon or organisasyon.
Naval said hazing is a tradition of generations that needs to end it.
Saka, parang lang din yan paglilipat nung dinanas nung mga iba. No? Galing kami dyan, dapat kayo din. Na parang para pantay-pantay tayo, dapat maputol na yung ganung ugnayan.
The founding chairman of the Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption and Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission Chairman Dante Jimenez believes it is possible to stop hazing in the country. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Hazing does not only have physical effects but also psychological ones. Find out what experts say about the effects of hazing on a victim, a survivor, their parents, and even on fratmen who conduct the initiation rites. Maya Bermudez has this report.
Stories of hazing and initiation rites are not new in the history of law schools and campuses in the country. It was in 1954 when the first hazing-related death was reported in the person of Gonzalo Mariano Albert of UP Diliman, a junior member of Upsilon Sigma Phi, even until the recent death of Darwin Dormitorio of Philippine Military Academy. But what is the psychological effect of hazing in an individual who surpassed such incident?
Isa sa pinaka sabihin na natin na epekto yung trauma. Dahil kasi it will keep on coming back. Pero kasi ang punto dito, makakagraduate ako. Yung bang motivation mo na pag nalampasan ko to, makakagraduate ako. Eventually can be a source of yung possible traumatic disorder. Unang tinatawag natin doon yung tinatawag na post-stress traumatic disorder, PSTD. So yun, nangyayari yun. And when it keeps on coming back, eventually, it can give you sleepless nights. It can produce possibility for eating disorder kasi hindi ka makakain. Tapos ngayon, akala mo to get even na yung para mawala yan, mag-exercise ka. Kaya lang umaabot sa puntong todo-todo exercise and then so exhausted ka. Pwedeng yun yung mga possibility ng signs and symptoms of a mental disorder.
Aside from physical manifestations, it's not only the mind but also the well-being of an individual that may be affected if someone experiences it.
Una-una, lalo na kung sabihin mo na ginusto nung anak ko yan kaya ako pumayag. Tapos, kaisa-isa kong anak yan pinoprotektahan ko yan, hindi ko nga yan sinasaktan. Parang, alam mo na pwedeng maiwasan, pero what if kung ang culture nung eskwelahan ganon, na hindi mo matatanggihan. So parang ikaw mismo gagawa ka ng, can I really move on? Or I have to let go first?
Families of hazing victims may also experience depression and may be affected by the incident. Health effects such as migraine, hyperventilation, shortness of breath, high blood pressure, and heart attack may also be experienced by the parent. For frat members who perform the initiation rites, Dr. Garcia says they should be first asked what is their true intention in causing pain to their frat brothers.
There's a possibility na itong mga ito, merong sociopath behavior na sinasabi, they have no remorse of doing such things. Actually, hindi siya yung sasabihin mo na ginusto nila na it's their turn. Ang nagiging problema, they are focused. Yung nagiging mindful sila na, di bale, pagdating ng second year ako, sigurado ako na yung gagawa nito, kakayanin ko para maranasan nila yung talagang sobrang naranasan ko.
Letting go and moving on is difficult for someone whose loved one died from hazing. Ways to recover include being a living testimony, seeking justice for the victim, and being inspired again. But in the end, we should always ask ourselves why we join groups and what can we truly achieve in joining a fraternity. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. 7 members of the Boracay Dragon boat team died after their boat capsized in Malay Aklan waters. The Department of Labor and Employment finds occupational safety and health standards violation on the Sogo hotel that collapsed on Monday. The Department of Agriculture allots 60 million pesos for a loan program to support hog raisers affected by African swine fever. The House Transport Committee approves the creation of a Traffic Crisis Interagency Management Council. Good evening. 7 members of the Boracay Dragon boat team were confirmed dead during their training in the waters of Malay Aklan. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
Around 7:40 this morning, a capsized boat was found in Sitio Linganay, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island. Of the 21 members of the Boracay Dragon boat team aboard, 14 survived the tragedy, but 7 were confirmed dead after the incident. The Philippine Coast Guard says members of the team were all accounted for and were brought to St. Gabriel Hospital. Based on initial investigation, the team had an ongoing training when the accident happened. The complete list of names and identities of the team members is still being verified. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Labor Secretary Sylvester Bello III says the collapse of an old hotel building in Manila City calls for stricter labor inspection. Harleen Delgado reports why.
The Labor Department has found occupational safety and health standards violations on the collapse of an old Hotel Sogo building in Malate, Manila on Monday, which killed 2 construction workers. According to DOLE Assistant Secretary Benjo Santos Benavides, labor inspectors found out that the occupational safety and health program given by the agency to the contractor had lapsed when the incident happened. The DOLE NCR gave the contractor the approval for the demolition on July 22, valid until September 22. The incident took place on September 23. They also discovered there were no safety officers and first aid officers present on site when the collapse happened, a clear violation of Republic Act 11508 or the Occupational Safety and Health Standards Act.
They should have notified the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE NCR, that there will be extension of the demolition work. So, based po sa data po namin, there was no notification of extension of the demolition work dun po sa site.
A hearing is set tomorrow to give the contractor Fabellion Construction and Development Corporation and the principal owner Golden Breeze Realty Incorporated the chance to air their sides. If negligence is proved on either of the parties, they may face suspension of licenses to operate and a fine of up to 100,000 pesos as prescribed by law. The Labor Department has also issued a work stoppage order on the demolition works to prevent imminent danger in the area. Meanwhile, Labor Secretary Sylvester Bello III says this calls for stricter inspection of labor inspectors in all business operations. However, he admits they only have 710 labor law compliance officers for almost 1 million business establishments across the country.
The only thing there is to really intensify inspection. And diyan kami may konting pagkukulang.
Why, Secretary?
Kasi kulang-kulang ang aming labor law compliance officer.
The Labor Secretary adds they have requested the hiring of thousands of new labor law compliance officers, which are expected to come in 2020. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
President Rodrigo Duterte has signed Republic Act number 11449, increasing penalties for access devices fraud such as counterfeiting access devices, card skimming, and hacking. These violations are now considered a form of economic sabotage and heinous crime. It shall be punishable with not less than 4 to 20 years or life imprisonment. Those who commit any of the acts constituting device fraud will also be penalized with not less than 500,000 to 5 million pesos. Hog raisers affected by the African swine fever outbreak may now avail of loan from the Department of Agriculture. The loan program is zero interest and doesn't require any collateral. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
A 60 million peso initial fund has been allotted by the Department of Agriculture or DA for a loan program for raisers of ASF-stricken hogs. Each hog raiser may avail of loan of up to 30,000 pesos. Around 2,000 hog raisers in Rizal, Bulacan, and Quezon City will be first to benefit from the program. Agriculture Secretary William Dar says affected swine raisers may resort to other livelihood like raising broilers and goats or vegetable production. Around 15,000 hogs have been culled in ASF-affected areas. The government will pay 3,000 pesos for every hog culled. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte says they are about to cull around 1,000 pigs in barangays Payatas and Bagong Silangan. If the Quezon City government's 10 million fund is not sufficient, they will ask help from the Department of Social Welfare and Development.
Once they are cleared, hindi na po tayo papayag na sa Barangay Bagong Silangan at sa Payatas ay magkakaroon ulit ng piggery.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Identifying fake from a real product one is a challenge nowadays. What is the Philippine government doing to solve this issue of counterfeiting, which has been a long-time problem in the country? Mon Hokson reports.
Why are there so many fake products in the Philippines? This question is answered by a study done by Geneva Network, a public policy research organization based in England. Based on the study, the Philippines is behind when it comes to protecting intellectual property rights. While the government is doing all it can to protect intellectual property, implementation is still a big challenge. But what is intellectual property? Intellectual property, or IP, refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, and symbols, names, and images used in commerce. The most common types of intellectual properties are trade secrets, trademark, copyright, patent, and license. If you want your work to be protected, it must be patented. But the problem is that here in the Philippines, a patent application takes 3 to 4 years to be approved. When a product or work is patented, counterfeiting is not easy because criminal charges may be faced. But because the Philippines is not strict in implementing intellectual property rights, many works and products are stolen and copied. Many foreign businessmen are afraid to invest in the country due to counterfeiting. Copyright infringement is also a challenge. This includes online piracy and unlicensed software. Based on the 2019 International IP Index, the Philippines is behind Singapore and Malaysia when it comes to copyright system strength. The Department of Trade and Industry is addressing the issue. The DTI says it has so far received more than 300 complaints because of low-quality fake products.
A lot of infringers, products being sold, pirated being sold. So ito po, we will try to address all these issues na mga nabebenta sa online.
The DTI admits counterfeiting is prevalent among online shops.
To ensure the protection of consumers, the Council, National Council, IPR, called on the public to buy only from trusted online platforms and shops that sell regional products and to stay away from those that sell counterfeits.
The National Committee on Intellectual Property Rights, led by the DTI, is now working to protect intellectual properties in the country. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Quezon City government will implement stricter curfew hours policy these months. Aiko Miguel details why.
Based on the disciplinary hours ordinance in Quezon City, minors are prohibited to wander in streets from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. the next day.
Kailangan talaga natin stricter enforcement of our we have a children's code of Quezon City that includes all of the laws and ordinances that that pertain to our children below 18, no? And this includes a lot of our batang hamog, no?
According to the Quezon City Police District and the Quezon City Department of Public Order and Safety or DPOS, the so-called hamog boys or minors who sniff solvent are commonly involved in crimes during the wee hours.
At payo lang po namin sana sa mga magulang, una, huwag niyong pabayaan ang inyong mga anak. Pangalawa, manmanan niyo po ang inyong mga anak.
Especially itong ganitong mga hamog na sinasabi natin dahil yung mga estudyante na ginaban naman sa lansangan, justified naman yon. Pero ito, nagiging bisyo na nila parang karera na nila yung nasa kalye.
There is an existing Sagip Batang Solvent Center in Quezon City where children who use solvent can be brought to when they are caught loitering in streets. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA is in coordination with the city government in the center's operation. Mayor Belmonte adds they will also monitor young girls to prevent them from being involved in exploitation and in any form of abuse.
Pero marami rin tayong reports na nakukuha ngayon ng mga batang babae na nagtatrabaho na sa mga nightclubs, massage parlors, etc. that are menor de edad. So lahat po yan ay bibigyan na natin ng diin.
The City Council is set to discuss the guidelines of the stricter implementation of curfew hour for minors. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Welcome back to Y News. The House Committee on Transportation approved today the creation of a Traffic Crisis Council. This comes as the Executive Department no longer pursues the request for emergency powers. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
To remedy traffic woes, House Resolution 353 aims to establish a Traffic Crisis Interagency Management Council. The council will be composed of several agencies, including the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG, to solve traffic problems not just in Metro Manila, but also in other parts of the country. The Traffic Council will consolidate and harmonize government agencies and local governments, as well as traffic and transportation policies.
Bawat isa mayroong role na makakatulong na pagpapaluwag ng ating trapiko. Pati yung construction and repair of our road facilities, tapos yung mga traffic signs, pagkatapos yung pagtutugma-tugma naman ng mga provision ng mga traffic ordinances ng mga local government.
Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority reminds the committee to further study the limitations and boundaries of the council so as not to overlap its would-be functions with other existing government agencies.
Now, we fully support the bill as long as there be no overlapping of functions. Kasi nga, mas magulo pagka, kumbaga, sabi nga nila, mas madaming kusinero, mas magugulo yung niluluto.
Ang pinakamadali talagang ahensya umawak ay DILG. Kasi hawak nila ang local government units. Parang sila dapat ang nagre-renda to harmonize the different policies.
After passing the resolution, the Technical Working Group will discuss the details of the House resolution before submitting for votation by the plenary. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DNR will conduct testing of water samples from all rivers across the country amid the ongoing outbreak of poliovirus. The test is to determine the quality of and coliform content in the country's bodies of water after water samples from the sewerage system in Tondo, Manila and Davao City tested positive of poliovirus. According to DNR Undersecretary Benny Antiporda, Environment Secretary Roy Simatu has ordered all its regional offices to submit the results as soon as possible.
Hahanapin na namin itong mga pipes na nagtatapon doon sa mga rivers para masiguro natin na hindi na madagdagan pa yung pollution ng river.
And for the news abroad, U.S. President Donald Trump said a pending impeachment inquiry by the House of Representatives over the Ukraine controversy is the worst witch hunt in political history. MJ Pineda will tell us why.
The U.S. House of Representatives will launch a formal impeachment inquiry into U.S. President Donald Trump over reports he sought foreign help to smear a political rival, setting up dramatic clash between Congress and the White House that could spill into the 2020 presidential campaign. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced the inquiry after a closed-door meeting with Democratic lawmakers, saying Trump's action appeared to have undermined national security and violated the U.S. Constitution.
And this week, the president has admitted to asking the president of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically. The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Pelosi has been reluctant for months to embrace an impeachment effort. However, a change of heart followed reports that Trump had pressured Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a July 25 phone call to investigate Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden and his son. The controversy came to light after a whistleblower from within the U.S. intelligence community lodged a complaint with an internal watchdog about Trump's conversation with Zelensky. Trump has confirmed he had withheld nearly $400 million in U.S. aid to Ukraine, but denied he did so as leverage to get Zelensky to initiate an investigation that would damage Biden. He also said the transcript would show the call was totally appropriate, that he had not pressured Zelensky to investigate Biden, and that there had been no quid pro quo for U.S. aid in exchange for a probe.
So, look, it's just a continuation of the witch hunt. It's the worst witch hunt in political history. We have the strongest economy we've ever had. We have the best unemployment numbers we've ever had. African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, lowest in history, best numbers we've ever had. Our country is doing phenomenally well.
Trump said a complete, fully declassified and unredacted transcript of the July 25 call would be released on Wednesday. MJ Pineda, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Tropical storm Karen gained strength on Tuesday as it barreled towards Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands nearby, with powerful winds packing up speed and torrential rainfall, threatening flash floods and mudslides. Videos showed the swollen Guayanese River spilling into a construction in Yabucoa. The National Hurricane Center said storm winds intensified to 72 kilometers per hour. The weather system was expected to dump 2 to 4 inches of rain on the island. Officials on Puerto Rico urged residents to be ready to seek shelter if they live in homes likely to be flooded by the storm. Britain's top court strikes down United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson's 5-week suspension of Parliament in the lead-up to Brexit, in a huge blow for the Prime Minister. Jovic Bermas will tell us why.
United Kingdom members of the Parliament and peers returned to work after the Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday that Boris Johnson's decision to shut down Parliament in the run-up to Brexit was unlawful. The stinging judgment by all 11 of the court's sitting justices undermines Johnson's already fragile grip on power and gives legislators more scope to try to stop him taking Britain out of the bloc next month, with or without a divorce deal.
The court is bound to conclude, therefore, that the decision to advise Her Majesty to prorogue Parliament was unlawful because it had the effect of frustrating or preventing the ability of Parliament to carry out its constitutional functions without reasonable justification.
Responding in New York to the judgment, which said that the suspension was null and void, Johnson said he would respect the ruling.
We respect the judicial process. I have to say I strongly disagree with what the justices have found. I don't think that it's right, but we will go ahead and, of course, Parliament will come back. I do think there's a good case for getting on with the Queen's speech anyway, and we'll do that. But I think the most important thing is we get on and deliver Brexit on October the 31st.
Opposition leaders called on Johnson to resign immediately for misleading Queen Elizabeth, who had officially suspended Parliament on his advice. A source in his office said the Prime Minister would not resign, and Johnson, in his first public comments on the landmark ruling, appeared unrepentant. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue, London, United Kingdom.
Thousands have protested in Indonesia against the new criminal code that would also outlaw insulting the president. Meanwhile, at least 19 people were killed after a strong earthquake hit Pakistan. Kath Dumaraos has the details.
In Pakistan, a 5.8 magnitude earthquake has struck eastern Pakistan, killing at least 19 people and injuring more than 300. The quake's epicenter was close to the city of Mirpur in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Video showed a huge crack on a main road in the area and partially destroyed houses. The full extent of the damage is not yet known. In Indonesia, Indonesian police sprayed water cannon and fired tear gas to disperse protesters on Tuesday as tens of thousands of students gathered in cities nationwide over a range of issues, including a new criminal code that penalizes adultery and revised laws on corruption. Most of the protesters were students, often wearing colorful jackets from their schools or universities. President Joko Widodo on Friday ordered a delay in Parliament's vote on the new criminal code, saying a new parliament should deliberate on the bill next month. The revisions to the code also include penalties for sex outside marriage, insulting the president's dignity, a 4-year jail term for abortions in the absence of a medical emergency or rape, and a prison term for black magic. In the USA, families involved in a 2012 movie theater mass shooting in Colorado have asked the studio behind Joker to help lobby for gun reform, expressing concern about the film's portrait of a mental breakdown that leads to violence. In a letter to Warner Brothers, the families of some of the victims also urged the company to end any political contributions to candidates who take money from the National Rifle Association and to fund gun violence intervention programs. The letter does not ask for the movie to be withdrawn, but it says, with great power comes great responsibility. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Scientists have discovered for the first time that babies are exposed directly to air pollution while still in the womb. Mirasola Bugadil will tell us why.
Airborne carbon particles that can cause health problems in adults and children are getting into the placenta as it nourishes a developing fetus, a new study by Belgian researchers has found. According to a report published recently in Nature Communications, soot emitted through the incomplete combustion of fossil fuels contains harmful black carbon. These particles can pass through the protective barrier of the placenta and enter the fetus tissue. Professor Tim Naurut, who led the study, said mothers who had been subjected to higher levels of pollution registered a larger concentration of harmful particles in their placentas.
So they can really pass from the mother side of the placenta to the fetal side. And then they are in the same blood compartment of the fetus itself.
The placenta is supposed to be a barrier that protects the fetus from substances that might harm it. Whether those particles created by the combustion of fossil fuels pose a direct risk to the fetus is an unresolved question. But the researchers speculate that the pollutants may play a role in the low birth weight or premature delivery more often seen in babies whose mothers are exposed to higher levels of contaminated air. Such particles have also been known to slow cognitive abilities, and they've been seen in the urine of healthy children and in the brain at autopsy. More research is necessary to demonstrate the precise health effects the presence of pollutants has on a developing fetus. The Hassel team hopes to visualize and analyze the effects of these particles in the future.
What mothers can do now practically is, like, if they are living in a big city and they walk or have to choose their cycling path, maybe avoid the major roads take a parallel street with less traffic, because we know that within a city there can be a large variation even on very small distance.
Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
A town in Basilan has opened a new attraction, and it immediately captured the attention of tourists. This report will tell us why.
A tulip garden has risen in Lamitan City, Basilan, and it could be your next most Instagrammable spot. But the Forever Tulip Garden in situ Panansangan, Barangay Ubit, which opened Monday to visitors, is not your ordinary tulip garden. The garden's 30,000 tulip flowers in various colors are actually made from upcycled plastic bottles collected from 45 barangays of Lamitan City.
Plastic bottles make up a large volume of our waste in Lamitan City.
The garden's pathway is also made of shredded plastic bottles mixed in cement, sand, and gravel. The project was in line with the city's intensified solid waste management, dubbed as the Abante Lamitan Atras Basura. Lamitan City Mayor Rose Furigay said the project can help combat plastic pollution.
Let us not just be mindful of the beauty, but let us be mindful of how to minimize the use of plastic.
Yamiskala, UNTV News and Rescue.
A South African dancer with a difference showed that losing a leg would not stop him from fulfilling his dreams to dance with the stars. Nina Armilio tells us why.
At the Joburg Theatre in South Africa, Musa Motha is getting ready for an evening performance. He is a lead performer and dancer in Sion, Requiem of Ravel's Bolero, a production about a professional mourner in South Africa's townships during the country's transition to democracy. Motha's leg was amputated when he was 11 years old after being diagnosed with cancer. He dreamt of being a professional soccer player one day, but later realized that he would not be able to pursue the sport to that level. Motha decided to stick to exploring dancing instead and joined the Voyani Dance Theatre last year.
It was the love of music. I was a DJ, and then it escalated to dancing.
Now a full-time dancer, he says he has been able to find an outlet for agility and physical strength through dance. He enjoys street dance, hip-hop, and contemporary dance. But he also faces some difficulties as a disabled dancer.
The challenge that I have is just, grabbing the choreography, and for two able bodies to catch something, it can take them like 5 seconds. For me, it's going to take me 10 seconds. That's only the difference there. And then, apart from that, I'm perfect.
When he is not dancing, Motha is a motivational speaker and says he wants to inspire people living with disability. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this September 25, 2019. On behalf of Angelo Castro III, I'm Alex Baltazar. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Seryoso ako?
Yes.
Papatayin kita pag nakita kita.
Kung meron sa warrant, pwede natin sigurong i-coordinate yung extradition niya.
Mas maganda na harapin niya yung kaso, pati na rin yung kanyang asawa at itong angka na to.
There's a possibility na itong mga ito, merong sociopath behavior na sinasabi na they have no remorse of doing such things. Actually, hindi siya yung sasabihin mo na ginusto nila na it's their turn. Ang nagiging problema, they are focused yung nagiging mindful sila na, di bale, pagdating ng second year ako, sigurado ako na yung gagawa nito, kakayanin ko para maranasan nila yung talagang sobrang naranasan ko.
We should have notified the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE NCR, that there will be extension of the demolition work.
The President has admitted to asking the President of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically.